Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. How you doing tonight, fellas?
Fantastic.
Fantastico.
A lot better after Sunday.
NFC East champions, my friend. We have a great show lined up for you guys. We're going to talk about the victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, 20-14, very close to my prediction. But we're also going to do some fan questions and then look into the Tampa Bay matchup, the playoff matchup that's going to be going down on Saturday at 8:15. But before we get into anything, I want to discuss the hot topic, the hot conversation. Joe Judge, the head coach of the New York Giants, decided that he should tell everyone that the Philadelphia Eagles crapped the bed, that they disrespected the game, that he would never, ever do that. What? Do you believe that, Reed?
Do I believe that? Probably, but I shut up. Yeah. You can't, dude. If you really, really are that worried about it, then maybe win more than 6 games. I don't know. But you shouldn't have to rely on somebody else to make the playoffs and then be mad about it. I get what the Eagles did. That's part of the NFL moving the game back and making them the last game, allowing them to see where they would pick in the draft if they lost versus if they won. The difference between the 9th pick and the 6th pick in this year, with this odd of a season, with not much scouting out there this season, that's a pretty big difference. I mean, you're going to have a chance to grab somebody who just fell out of the top 5 or very close to a top 5 player versus maybe a top 10 player or versus a top 10 player at number 9. That's a pretty big deal. So I don't blame Doug Pederson at all. And Joe Judge, just worry about your own team, man. Apparently he was sitting in his office studying for Tampa already when they made the switch to Sudfeld. It's like, bro, they were losing anyway. Right. They were still behind. It's not like they were winning with this fantastic firecracker Jalen Hurts, who was 7 of 20 for 72 yards with an interception. I don't know. Just shut up, Joe Judge.
Yeah,
just
and
go back to losing.
It also, like, everyone keeps talking about how it was like thrown away, like they threw the game away. But I even saw that Pederson had said earlier in the week that
he was going to play Sudfeld.
Yeah, if the situation called for it, he was going to put Sudfeld in. And so I didn't think it was that surprising. And I love how everyone just assumes that it was like an automatic victory if Hurts stayed in the game.
They were losing with Hurts in the game.
Yeah, and everyone
didn't even have 100 passing yards.
And the flags in the first half literally prolonged their drives. It wasn't like he destroyed them.
That was the only reason they were ahead, was because Washington kept beating themselves at terrible times. Point blank.
Yep.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. What was your opinion on that, Hall? Did you think that Pederson was throwing the game away by playing Sudfeld?
I wouldn't call it throwing the game away. I would call it getting a better advantage going into the 2021 season. Like Reed said and everyone else said, they jumped up from the 9th pick to the 6th pick. Now, guess what? They're talking about, are we going to bring Carson Wentz back? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Maybe you throw Carson Wentz out there in the number 6 pick. Someone jumps up. You get even more value for the move that you made. And clearly, it wasn't really Doug Pederson that made this call, even though he did say he was going to play Sudfeld to Chris Collinsworth, and he said it's maybe the media throughout the week. Who knows? But if those junkies knew that going into the game, and they were in DC. Clearly, the Philadelphia media probably knew that Nate Sudfeld was going to get some reps. Now, look, did he throw him in at probably the worst, like, kind of inopportune time to make it seem like he's throwing the game? Of course. But at the same time, Joe Judge, like Reed said, worry about your own team, and maybe you should win more than 6 games because literally 1/3 of your wins came from us.
Right. And at the same –
it shouldn't even have been 1/3 of your win. We should have beat you guys twice.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, worry about your own team. Maybe don't sit there and be preparing for a team that you're never going to face. So, yeah, that's what it is.
And going for it in those goal to go situations on 4th down, that could have changed the game. I think that right there, right after that, he was like, all right, fuck it. You missed it. It is what it is. It's time to put Sudfeld in. Exactly. But the Eagles fan base and some of these Eagles players that were apparently upset about it are going to forget about this once they end up drafting either a Micah Parsons, Jamar Chase, or Devontae Smith. They're not going to care anymore. They're going to be like, oh, cool. We got a fantastic elite player at a position of need. Great. Good call.
Yeah. And if Pederson really wanted to throw that game, why wouldn't he just start a Sudfeld from the jump?
Exactly.
Why would he even play Hurts, in my personal opinion?
Why would he play Darius Slay?
Right. And
Right.
that's
Why would he play Brandon Graham? Like, come on.
Yeah, and I didn't understand that mindset, and it kind of goes into the defense that Pederson wanted to give Sudfeld an ability to put tape out there,
We can see if he's the backup quarterback.
because he is going to be leaving their team in the offseason. So what he
Or-
wanted
yeah,
to do
or
is,
that.
hey, here's
True.
some film. And the reason why I believe that to be true is because they had Carson Wentz as a healthy scratch.
Yeah.
So they knew they weren't going to go to Carson. They knew
Yep.
they wasn't going to play Hurts for a long time, that they were going to put in Sudfeld at some point. So for everyone in the national media to be acting like he threw the game away with that start, it certainly looked that way because Chase Young and Montez Sweat, I mean, they really did destroy Nate Sudfeld. That dude was like bloody in the water around sharks. That was insane to watch. They destroyed that guy. So that being said, let's move this on to the game beers, everybody. The Washington football team are NFC East champions off of a really, really bad game. I'm just going to come out and say that was that second half was crazy. The constant turnovers back and forth. Nobody wanted to win that football game, but hey, the team did. So let's get our game beers, and that is reserved for people or players that we think deserve a beer to kick their feet up, enjoy their night because they balled out. They gave everything that they got. And I'll start with you, Reed. Who's getting your game beer?
Well, I think it would be fairly easy to go with somebody like Chase Young or something like that, or Montez Sweat, who both just affected the game with their athleticism. But I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go with my boy, Logan Thomas, surefire Hall of Famer right now. My guy is killing it. The way he went up and got that touchdown pass from Alex Smith was just amazing. He climbed that ladder. I thought Alex Smith was throwing it out of the back of the end zone. Very Dwight Clark reminiscent for the 49ers against the Cowboys years ago. And I loved it. He high pointed that ball. Logan Thomas deserves a game beer for this season with the way that he's played.
Yeah, and I thought the play before that, I'm not sure if you guys were able to catch it, but Cam Sims was literally wide open. If Alex would have waited a millisecond to throw that football, he would have seen Cam Sims was all alone. And thank the Lord that Alex was able to get the touchdown catch of Logan Thomas because if they didn't get a touchdown there, that would have been a huge topic of discussion.
He missed Cam Sims twice wide open because when he threw the one away, it went over it might have been Logan Thomas's head or maybe it was McKissick's head. He was throwing the ball out of bounds. Again, if he would have waited a half of a millisecond longer, he would have saw that Cam Sims was literally running a corner route wide open, like, hey, look at me in the end zone. But, hey, we won the game, so it's cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. You know what I'm saying? What about you, Hall? Who's getting your game beer? Who deserves it?
I am going to go with – I wish it would have been my man, Big Game Gibby, but he had a decent game. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. To be out there on the field, obviously, the captain, even he had a high ankle sprain, which is usually like a 5 to 6 week or 4 to 6 week injury. Came back into field, played on a wet field, toughed it out in the cold weather, which makes your muscles and your bones even colder playing out there. And to score a touchdown off of a high ankle sprain and to literally just lose the cornerback on the route. I mean, hats off to you. You don't even get a game beer. You get a game bottle of champagne because we're NFC champions, baby.
And the fact that it was on the opening drive of the season or of the game.
That made it even more sweet.
Right.
Now you get 2 bottles of champagne. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, and I listened to his press conference yesterday, Terry McLaurin's, and he talked about how he was in a walking boot all week. And when he walked onto the practice field on Saturday, he said he could notice the looks that he was getting from his teammates like, oh, man, he's going? And some guys didn't even know that he was going to be playing in that game until Sunday, which speaks a lot about Terry, where Terry's like, look, man, you're not going to keep me out of this game. I want to be able to fight for and with my guys to be able to get them into the playoffs. And he certainly did that. The first scoring drive of the season on the opening drive for the Washington football team comes in week 17 for none other than the overachiever, Terry McLaurin. But my game beer is going to Cameron Curl. The dude is so he's a baller. I loved his press at the line of scrimmage on Zach Ertz. He stifled him at the point of attack, and that ball just fell right into his hands, and he was able to hold on to it. And then that one catch by what was it? Was it JJ Ortega-Whiteside deep downfield where it was like almost on the goal line? Cameron Curl had the hand on it and everything, and it was just a great catch by JJ. So he was all over the field. He had 3 tackles and 1 interception. He was really, really good in that game, and we needed it from the safety position. He was able to get open field tackles. I love Cameron Curl. Enjoy your game beer, brother.
Right.
Now, is there anyone else that deserves an honorable mention?
Coach Rivera.
Yes.
Obviously, I know that
There
doesn't
you go.
really
You're
count.
picking
That's
up what
a
I'm
cheat.
putting down.
That's a cheat. But the guy just everything that he's overcome this year to stick with this team. Everybody's saying, why not just lose? What's the point of winning the division? You're going to lose in the first round anyway. Oh, it's like, shut up. You think Coach Rivera coached this season with cancer just to lose the division?
Right.
Like, come on. And you got to give it to him. Keeping this team together with all the stuff going on in the offseason, obviously, we all know. And just with everything going on, everybody picking them to finish last in the division. Shout out to Coach Ron. I loved watching Jonathan Allen give him the game ball, too. You can just see how much those guys respect him.
He said it came from Mr. Snyder himself, too. So,
Yeah. And
so what's that tell you?
And I think a lot of credit to Ron Rivera for sticking with Alex Smith. I mean, everyone was calling to pull Alex. And I understand why. You know, Alex was not playing incredibly well, where he went 22 of 32, 162 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 3 sacks. He was not able to move well outside of the pocket. You know, obviously, the guy is hurt. Of course, he's beat up and depleted. But I wanted to give credit to Coach Rivera because I think he didn't want him to throw the game away. And that's why he kept it with Alex Smith. And I understand he threw 2 interceptions, but he was taking care of the football in the second half. You know what I mean? And with Taylor Heineke, you do worry about the Brett Favre aspect of things, of being just a gunslinger, throwing it for anybody, and having that very, very crucial turnover. So credit to you, Coach Rivera. Have the game beer or root beer. I know you're a big root beer guy. But that brings a question to my head. Do you guys think that Ron Rivera should have pulled the plug, Hall?
No. I mean, you look at Alex Smith's track record, and clearly you could see that he was going to be able to take care of the ball in the second half. This team is usually a second-half team. They usually shut teams out in the second half defensive-wise. All you got to do is put a couple points on the board if you already have the game close and you're going to win the game. So Alex Smith definitely gives you the best chance. He gave us the best chance on Saturday, and the results speak for themselves.
Absolutely. What about you,
11-5 as a starter in a 16-game sample. Just saying.
Right. Yeah, that's true. And no, he should not have pulled the plug on Alex Smith. Look, like you said, Kyle, I understand why people were saying it. They wanted more, but you guys, people forget. People in this area are always so quick to judge quarterbacks, and you guys got to remember, you don't know what you have in Taylor Heineke right now. Like, I understand, he looked fantastic against the Panthers, but like we've said, that was against some defenses that he's not going to be seeing in a close game. You still don't know how he's going to play. There's a reason that he's not a starter and that he just got signed during the season. I mean, he's not the savior of the franchise, guys. Just calm down. Alex did enough. Alex got it done. We're perfectly fine.
Yeah, and then one thing I wanted, Keith, I thought was spot on with it when he said, he had nothing to lose in that game against the Panthers when he came in for 9 minutes. He came in gunslinging, and look, what's going to happen? You're going to lose the game, throw a pick or two? Yeah, of course. You were going to anyway. So when in that type of situation where you're holding on to a lead, I wouldn't agree with putting Taylor Heineke in there because of the possibility of throwing it away. And Alex Smith knows how this offense works. He takes care of the football, and he gets guys in position to be able to do that. I thought one of the biggest plays of the game was late, and was in right before halftime, and Alex Smith gets them to jump off sides with a hard count.
Yeah.
Because at that time, they had 1 timeout left. I believe there was 30 seconds left, and it was 3rd and 1. They did not want to be able to bleed any clock, and being able to get that offsides or neutral zone infraction didn't take any time off the clock and got them a new set of downs. Was there a big play that comes to mind for you, Reed?
I mean, there's a few big plays. I just want to talk about one play that I just thought nobody's talking about enough, and that was on the Eagles. Their penalty when Alex did the hard count at the end of the game, got their defensive tackle to jump off sides, and he decides to tackle Alex below the knee on a quarterback that just had that injury. Everybody knows his story. It's like, well, dude, what are you doing? Nobody else is moving right now. Like, what is going on? To me, that was just dirty. Nobody's talking about it, and I think that's something that should be talked about more, because what if he did? What if he ended up breaking Alex's leg? What if Alex ended up getting hurt somehow? I mean, then that's a completely different situation. You're the villain of the NFL. Yeah, it's just a dumb play.
And before we move on, I know that everyone keeps talking about Doug Pederson through the game, but remember, he went for it on 4th down in the red zone. Do you really think that's a guy trying to throw the game?
He's done that all season.
How many opportunities do you have to give Jalen Hurts in the red zone? Like they gave him a bunch. We gave him a bunch. But
and on that same play, on that 4th down, you saw Tim Settle get picked up, and it looked like he was rubbing his nipples, the guy. Literally held him like this, and Tim Settle's going like this, and they still don't throw the flag.
Yeah, right. It was like they were getting ready to make sex to each other or something.
Dude, 2 weeks in a row, just non-calls, and I just cannot stand what's going on. Even on that one touchdown run by Jalen Hurts, you see Daron Payne get pulled like this, try to go in a direction, get pulled back by lineman, no flag. And I think it's amazing how they started a bunch of scrubs on the O-line, and no flags get called. Like, they were playing perfect football.
Yeah.
And like, I understand that they're scrubs and that the defensive line should have dominated, but if an offensive line knows that they can do whatever the hell they want, it's going to be kind of hard to do things.
Right. And real fast, if the Panthers and the Eagles are getting away with these penalties, imagine what Tom Brady and co are going to get away with on Saturday. I don't know. It sucks to think about.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Was there a play that comes to mind for you, Hall?
It has to be that touchdown at the end of the first half by Logan Thomas from Alex Smith. We were down at that point. It was kind of making it seem
important.
It was kind of making it seem like we're not getting anything on offense. Defense is getting a bunch of penalties and crucial, horrible spots, kind of beating themselves pretty much. I'm not going to say Jalen Smith was running the ball all over us, but again, he was converting in crucial downs in the run game, not the pass game at all. But yeah, for Alex Smith to lead us down at the end of the first half, get us on the board, get points on a touchdown on the board at that was definitely crucial. Momentum going into the second half. We had the ball coming out at halftime, and again, like you guys said, nobody wanted to win the game. They kept giving it back and forth to each other, but luckily we did enough.
Yeah, and a lot of credit to Scott Turner because that opening drive was absolutely beautiful. The one play that comes to mind was the Logan Thomas where he initially blocks on the right side of the formation, initially blocks, turns around, Alex dumps him the ball, and he's able to bowl upfield for another first down. I thought that the first script of the game was perfect. I thought he did a very, very good job with that. But my one gripe was throughout the entire game, they never went deep. Yeah. Never. And you kind of saw that Philly knew what was coming. They were playing in the box. They weren't respecting the deep ball. I would have at least like to see them go deep once or twice. You know what I mean? Especially with big Logan Thomas there. Just force the ball downfield, make them respect it. But look, I'm not going to sit here and cry over spilled milk, man. There's no reason to do that. They got the W. They're in the playoffs. They have another chance to go far. And I don't know, man. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it.
4th division title in 29 years. Of course, Ron Rivera is going to go for it.
And the first year of Ron Rivera, can you imagine that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you a year ago thinking that this team was going to win the division?
Right. Yeah.
You just didn't think it was possible, really.
I mean, a lot of teams go from.
They did. You would have thought it would have been with Dwayne Haskins and Darius Guice.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of teams go from worst to first, but again, for all the national people, even the local people, to kind of be like, yeah, this is maybe like a 4 or 5, 10 team win team or something like that. Me personally, I predicted it maybe like 6 or 7 wins, I say, or maybe even 8, just because I knew that this coaching staff coming in was already going to double the amount of wins we had last year. That's 6 off break. And I thought we'd be able to steal a division game here or there, maybe steal a big game like we usually do every single year. And we didn't get to 8, we got to 7. So, I mean, that was close.
Yeah, very, very close. And I was right there with you. And I remember saying in the preseason that this division is up for grabs because we have 2 first-year head coaches in Mike McCarthy and Joe Judge with New York. And then with the Eagles, their offensive line was beat up. They were kind of in shambles in a way. So you never knew what was going to happen with this division, and it shaped out right. The Washington football team stayed healthy. And I want to give a lot of credit to Ron Rivera because early on in the season, a lot of people were picking at him for not starting Chase Young in that 3 to 5 week stretch when he was banged up. And I really, truly believe that Ron Rivera knew that, especially in this year with COVID and everything, the healthiest team at the end of the year was going to be the best.
Yeah.
And a lot of credit for him for being able to stick to his guns and making that decision because he proved to be right. I mean, Washington is one of the healthiest teams in the NFL right now.
Whenever we have been able to say that.
Right. Oh, my God. I didn't even think about that from years past.
Everyone's talking about how many injuries Philly had. Like, I put out the GIF on Twitter, and it was like, first time?
Yeah, like anybody gave us any excuses the last 4 years when our entire team was injured.
Especially back in 2018, it was
right.
Oh, look at you! You have Mark Sanchez. You have butt fumble.
Right. It's like we had to start Mark Sanchez and Josh Johnson. Think about that, guys.
Yeah. Seriously. And I know a lot of and coach even said that he's like, I'm not going to apologize for winning.
No, what the fuck?
He was like, what did people say anything about Pittsburgh benching all their guys?
Exactly.
To allow Cleveland into the playoffs.
Exactly.
What are we doing here?
Right. And if anything, they would have even more of an advantage during that game because they know that there's a very real chance they could play the Browns. So they're like, all right, well, fuck it. let's just rest our starters, see what they're going to do, and we know how to play them. And by the way, doesn't that suck for the Browns, Kevin Stefanski?
Yeah.
I know that's brutal, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's brutal because I said it earlier. Stefanski is a play calling wizard.
He's amazing,
and he really does bring another element to that team. And if they don't have his play calling ability, that really is just
he's the difference on that team between last year and this year.
150%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
He's fantastic. And for those of you who don't know, what is it? He's on the COVID list. Is that what it is?
Yeah, he tested positive for COVID. Yeah.
I think it's him, the special teams coach.
Yeah,
Poor Browns fans, man.
Hodges, the receiver, and then I forget how to say his name, like Bolatoni, something like
Joel
that.
Batonio.
Yeah, Batonio. Yeah.
Joel
So
Batonio,
yeah, one of the best. I think he's a guard. One of the best guards in the game. Yeah. So.
Poor Browns, dude. They just can't catch a break, dude. They get into the
know.
playoffs and then they lose their play caller, lose out on one of their best
Going up
offensive
against a
linemen.
division rival.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh essentially picked who they were going to play against in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
they had a chance to win that game too.
They did, I know.
insane.
And that's why everybody's saying, oh, the Washington barely beat these scrubs. The Browns barely beat the Steelers. The Steelers didn't play anybody.
I mean, they had their wide receivers, but that's it. And they had Mason Rudolph on the football.
they had Mason Rudolph.
Exactly.
That guy's got a dent in his head.
That's exactly. Yeah.
All right, but let's start.
I wish
I miss those deflated head memes of like Mason.
I know. Those are so good.
Those were fantastic. Now let's get into our fan questions, and the first one of the day is going to be Tony. And we kind of already alluded to it in a way, but I guess we can elaborate a little bit more if anything new came to mind. But why are people acting like the Eagles had an automatic win if Jalen Hurts stayed in the game? And I'll start with you, Reed.
I don't know. I don't know. People, they see the two rushing touchdowns, and I guess they saw those plays, and they're automatically like, well, see, he was owning you guys on the ground. He had 30-something rushing yards. He was 7 of 20 for 72 yards. He had an interception, no passing touchdowns. The only reason that they were able to actually continue to move the ball is because Washington was doing what Washington does in the first half, and that was they beat themselves. They were committing dumb penalties. They were just allowing Philly to do what they wanted. The Eagles were behind with Jalen Hurts. Like I said, when they took him out, they had 4 opportunities to go for it and they went for it on 4th and goal, and they didn't get it. I mean, they weren't winning the game with Jalen Hurts. So I don't know what people are talking about right now. It's just obnoxious. Yes, obviously, you would have a better chance to win with him than Nate Sudfeld. But like we said, you kind of figured Nate Sudfeld was going to play after Doug Pederson literally said that there's a very good chance they're going to play Nate Sudfeld at some point. So I don't know. People just need to.
And then they started out the second half by punting the ball 3 times with Jalen Hurts. And so get out of here. I'm right there with you, Tony. I don't understand why everyone is acting like Jalen Hurts had their number. Even in the first half, the flags prolonged those drives. Without some of those flags, they would not have even been close to getting in scoring position. So to sit here and act like Jalen Hurts had their number and he was destroying them, he did really well to the ground, without a doubt. He was 7 of 20. Come on, dude. He was not. He wasn't Aaron Rodgers out there.
Right.
So this whole narrative is just absolutely ridiculous. Do you have anything else to add, Hall?
Just that again, like we said earlier, this defense is known as to be a second half team. They've only allowed double digits in the second half twice since the Lions game, and one of them was the Lions game. They gave up 13 points in the second half. So yeah, what makes people think that Jalen Hurts was going to come out here and be some world beater in the second half, knowing that this defense steps up, they make adjustments, and come out and just dominate in the second half. So with that being said, I'm sorry again. Like I put the GIF out on Twitter from the situation from Jersey Shore. All these flavors, and you chose to be salty.
All these flavors, you chose to be salty. Now, let's kind of look at it into the future a little bit. Let's start looking at the Tampa Bay game. And one question was from Zoed71. He said, does Alex Smith on one leg give us a better chance than Heineken? And I'll start with you, Hall.
Yeah, it's like I alluded to earlier that I know it's throughout 2 or 2.5 years, whatever it's been. But 16 games as Alex Smith as a starter, 11-5. Not saying he's a world beater. His statistics are bottom 5 in the league, around like Dwayne Haskins numbers, honestly. I think Dwayne Haskins has better numbers than Alex Smith, honestly. But with that being said, Alex Smith is a winner. Like Reed said, alluded to earlier, we don't really know what we're going to get from Heineke in a whole 4-quarter game. Yeah, so him to come in relief, kind of like Fitzpatrick, surprise the defense. Now, sorry. not know what they're gonna not know what they're gonna get from Heineke because he's also mobile, can run around a little bit. He obviously knows the offense going back to Minnesota when he was with Scott Turner there. So he definitely feels comfortable in the offense. But again, that kind of gunslinger mentality, you don't know what you're gonna get. And with Alex Smith, 9 times out of 10, the anomaly has been maybe like last game where he's gonna not turn the ball over. He's gonna keep the ball in the offensive hands. He's gonna make good decisions. He's gonna convert third downs. So Alex Smith is the best decision going forward, one leg or two.
Yeah, I'd have
At least
to,
for this year. Sorry, only for this year.
yeah.
Not next year.
The one thing I'd be willing to think about is that opening drive by Alex. I thought that he looked a lot better than he did the rest of the game, and I wonder if one of those sacks ended up making his leg hurt a little bit more, in my opinion. Because he looked a lot different after that drive, and so it makes me wonder. And if that is the case, that he did get somewhat re-injured in that game, and there's a possibility that it could linger into Saturday, then yes, I do believe that Heineke gives you a better chance because the accuracy was an issue. The one interception that he had where he throws it to J.D. McKissick, and it's a high ball. Alex generally does not throw that ball high. He's always accurate. He's always very good with it. But that one was weird. It was almost like he was throwing off that leg, and it didn't feel comfortable with him. So if that is the case, I definitely do think Heineke is the best option. But if Alex can still throw the deep ball, if he can still be accurate, I believe that he is the better quarterback right now, in my personal opinion. He's gotten us to this point. It wasn't until Alex stepped in is when we started actually winning some games and having the ability to go into the playoffs. So for that reason, I stick with Alex. I'm going to stand by Alex. I've said it many times. I'm not going to be in the business of doubting Alex Smith anymore. The guy has proved everybody wrong, and I'm not going to be caught doing it. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Hall. I think Alex Smith, he knows what he's such a good veteran quarterback, and he's so smart. Yes, he has made a cut, like you said, Kyle. When he's injured, it's a little bit tough. But you're going against Tom Brady and this Tampa Bay team with a very good defense, especially a rush defense. They're fantastic, but you need a veteran quarterback in this situation, and Taylor Heineke's just so Taylor Heineke.
Tyler again.
Taylor,
here it comes.
You love that name, Kyle, don't you?
Tyler, Tyrone.
Taylor Heineke, he's just so unproven. But I do like the idea that came out that people are saying that there's a very good chance Ron Rivera could play both of them. Usually I'm not a fan of the dual quarterback thing, but in this situation, I think it could totally make sense if you can use Taylor Heineke and use his abilities when Alex Smith is, just judging by the situation.
Yeah, now, that being said, let's move on to Jesse's question, which is, how do you guys feel about Ron Rivera saying that there could be a rotation at quarterback? And so, Hall, I'll start with you.
I'm kind of with Reed, and I'm kind of like not really the old school thought of mine where if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterback.
Yep.
Because I know it's a new age in the NFL. You got mobile quarterbacks. You got guys that give a offensive competitive advantage against the defense in certain situations. But, yeah, I mean, the way Alex Smith has kind of been looking these past couple of weeks when he's been back, I know the calf is probably still an issue. It's probably still lingering a little bit. I know today that he wasn't really stretching with the team from the reports and stuff like that, which not really a big deal. But again, it's kind of like, yeah, I would put it with the Tua to Fitzpatrick situation where if you see that the game's kind of in reach and you kind of need a spark or you need like just an uptick in the offense, hey, throw Heineke out there for a series or two, see what he can give you. Yeah, see what he can give you for a series or two, and then again, when the going gets tough and you need that veteran presence in the huddle or on the field, you put Alex back in again. That's how I just feel about it, maybe. Yeah. But I also feel like it's kind of Rivera kind of throwing the Tampa Bay defense off. Like we gotta prepare for both quarterbacks now.
Oh, Lord, man,
I knew you're going there.
You can't just let me have my own bit, dude. And I think it's lip service by Ron Rivera. To be perfectly honest with you, he's forcing Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians to have to game plan for both quarterbacks. Now, like you had alluded to, Hall, about having the two options at quarterback, I love it because if the game does get out of hand, let's say they start out like they have all season down by 2 or 3 touchdowns, then let's put in Heineke. He gives you the best chance to score points quickly, and you got nothing to lose at that point. You're already down big. Let's put the gunslinger out there and let's go get it done. So I also believe that Ron Rivera is leaving that option open. And I loved how in his presser he answered Pete Haley. He said, look, I didn't say it was going to happen. I said that we were thinking about it.
Right.
And it's a great way to put it because nothing is solidified. We don't know what's going to happen come Saturday, to be perfectly honest. What about you, Reed?
And yeah, I mean, I touched on it a little bit, so I'll be fairly fast. But what if Alex Smith comes out and he looks healthy and he looks like he did during our win streak and he plays very well? Then you're not going to see Taylor Heineke. But if they need a spark or based on the defensive packages or if they're down by a lot, whatever, I mean, I think it's a very real possibility. Like I said, I'm usually not of the mindset of using the dual quarterbacks thing, but if you can figure out a way, I mean, think about like the Saints with Taysom Hill, they always figure out a way. Taylor Heineke's not Taysom Hill, I'm aware of that, but you can find out a way to make something work with them. I mean, they're two completely different quarterbacks, so it would be a little bit weird. Maybe it would kind of hurt the flow of the game, but it would be interesting. Fuck it, whatever can get us a W. That's all I'm okay with.
That's all I'm looking for. And that's a great question from Jesse. Now his next one is, how should Jack Del Rio attack Brady on Saturday? And I'll start with you, Hall.
Man, that's a good one. If you go with the past history of Brady over even going back to his career with the Patriots, if you can get Brady off of his mark, you can give him fits throughout the game. So what that means is they're gonna have to get not pressure from the outside edges like Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Obviously, you want to kind of collapse from the outside, but that interior pressure is going to be one of the keys to the game. I know we're going to talk about that on Thursday's episode and stuff like that, but that's going to be one of my keys to that game is if we can get middle interior pressure with Allen, Payne, Settle, those guys, whoever rotates in the middle, I think that'll be huge. And, yeah, if we can get Brady off his mark, then I think that'll be the key.
Yeah, and to be perfectly
I don't
honest,
remember what the question was, honestly.
It was how should Jack Del Rio attack Tom Brady?
Yeah. So I was right. Yeah.
And one stat that
Still
I saw
makes sense.
that Tom Brady against the Saints, when you go back and look at it, they lost 38-3. And they got pummeled in that game. And what the Saints did is they pressured him with 4 rushers, and that's what really got home. They didn't have to sacrifice a DB in order to get to pressure to Brady. And I think this is the game of the stunt plays, of having what happening is the defensive tackles being able to bite hard outside, and then the outside rushers coming in, like you said, Hall, being able to have that
don't
interior
let Brady
rush.
step up into that pocket.
The reason why you don't want to do that with Jalen Hurts, with Russell Wilson, with Teddy Bridgewater, because they're able to be able to find those holes with that. Tom Brady is it. You want Tom Brady running out of the pocket when he has Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and AB. Please, Brady, please run. So I think this week,
if Tom Brady beats us with his legs, we just you got it. You got that.
Yeah. And Kyle, I think you're 100% right. The stunts, that's the best way to defend Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is somebody who's obviously he's not a mobile quarterback, but he's so good at moving around in the pocket and stepping up. And if you can get Chase Young or Montez Sweat's athletic ass up there in front of him to where he can't necessarily step up and the pocket's still collapsing, that's the way to do it. Look, Tom Brady is this season in games that Tampa has allowed 3 or more sacks. Tampa is 1-3 this year with their only win coming against the Falcons. So when you pressure Brady, that offense is not moving like it usually does. So you have to pressure Brady, in my opinion. I think Jack Del Rio is going to do that. Could he get pressure with just the front 4? Possibly, but I think you're going to want to send some different looks at Brady, even though he's seen everything before. Just try to get him off of his mark.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is the 6th quarterback overall with no pressure in him. 6th quarterback overall in the league. With pressure, under pressure, he's 26. He's below average. He's normal.
A completely different quarterback.
So obviously the strength of our team is the defensive line getting pressure on the quarterback. Not going to say it's going to go our way. I'm just saying there's a chance.
It's a big matchup. Yeah.
Big chance. Now, thank you, Jesse. The questionnaire. That's another fantastic one. Now,
Jesse always has great questions.
He does. Now, let's go to Shelly. Shelly asked, will there be a focus on stopping Gronk? And what is the best way to be able to tackle Gronk without being slid off like D. Hall was carried for 20 yards? I'll start with you, Reed.
I think Cameron Curl has done such a good job against tight ends this season that I think he's going to be lined up. Look, Tampa has 3 good tight ends, but only 2 of them are healthy right now, right? Is that what it is, or are all 3 of them healthy? I don't remember.
I believe only 2 of them.
It's Brayton Gronk.
Yeah.
So
O.J. Howard is out for the season, I believe.
2 very good tight ends. But I think, you got to put somebody like Cameron Curl on him. Cameron Curl, a former cornerback at Arkansas. He's the number 1 rated overall safety by PFF, ahead of Jeremy Chin, ahead of Antoine Winfield Jr., all these guys that get more publicity. And Cameron Curl's been fantastic. We saw it week 1 of the season against the Eagles when Cameron Curl came in there and just bodied up Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, and they couldn't do anything with him. Like, he's very good against these tight ends, and I think that he's somebody that you're going to want to put on them.
Yeah, and as much as Gronk is a weapon and that tight ends do really hamper the Washington football team over the past 20 years. It's been their Achilles heel in a lot of these games. But if he's throwing the Gronk, that's a good thing. Like I said before, that he's not
Right.
throwing the ball to
Not
AB,
Evans or Godwin. Yeah.
Godwin or Evans. So I would absolutely love if they're throwing the ball to Gronk. And how do you stop Gronk? I hate to say it, but it's hitting his knees. And it's how he got injured. That's how he's made of half metal at this point, because he literally
Hitting the
took
side of his legs really low.
Seriously,
right where it
and
connects.
that's how you take out Gronk. You got to hit him in his legs.
Snap
you can't
his
go
leg.
high.
Yeah.
No, don't
You
snap his leg.
gotta chop block him.
No, but seriously, take out his legs. That's the best way to be able to stop Gronk. And honestly, at this level, Gronk is not as fast as he used to be. So the more that they're throwing the Gronk, the better. So let Brady have that outlet.
If you want to get rid of Gronk, what you do is you put on Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO and just watch him rock out on the sidelines. He's not going to remember the play. The dude's a big
bring some rage
dumb
sticks
goof.
out there.
He's a gump. Yeah, he's hilarious, but he's
funny.
a goofball.
I met
Reminds me of the Family Guy episode.
I met this dude out at a wedding one time, Nick's wedding up in Youngstown, Ohio. We went out there for the wedding, and actually we met this dude who was boys with Gronk. And I started asking him, like, what is Gronk like? He's like, dude, everyone thinks like he's doped up, he's always coked up and everything. Like, nah, dude, that's just Gronk. they're just wild dudes. They're just wired differently. They just like to have a good time. He was like, I can't tell you anything different. I can't lie to you. That's just Gronk. I was like, I could see that. I could totally.
Yeah,
see
it makes
that.
sense.
Makes sense.
With his CTE, it makes sense.
Oh God, that's ridiculous. Oh man. Now Eddie wants to know. Thank you, Shelly. Great question. Now Eddie wants to know, what should the offensive game plan be, and who will have a big game? Reed.
It's tough. Tampa is far and away the best rush defense in the NFL this season,
they
based
are.
off
Number
yards
one.
allowed. Yep, and it's not even that close. I think the next closest is the Rams, and they're a good bit behind them. So I don't know. I would like to say being able to establish the run, but that's going to be so hard against this defense. That's the thing. Like, our defense can match up very well with their offense, but right now with like Alex Smith, the way that he's been playing, it's going to be kind of tough. But you're going to need to get Terry, Logan Thomas involved. Of course, in an ideal world, you would be able to run the ball with Antonio Gibson and set up play action, but it's going to be tough to do that. So I just think you got to get your weapons involved. Utilize everybody, J.D. McKissick, all these guys, and you just really got to use your playmakers. But I don't know. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be very tough. But honestly, because like you said, they're number one rush defense in the league, but they are 21st against the pass. And you could honestly look at that Detroit game and say they lost Stafford like in the opening snaps, and they only threw for like 87 passing yards that day or something. So it really kind of made their stats look a lot better than it was. I know they picked it up in the later half in the season, but they're going to be without Devin White. And so with Ndamukong Suh in the middle, with JPP on the outside, their game plan has to be what they had in the opening drive. And that is, having the formations, having the motions pre-snap, and then going outside with it, with screen plays, nullifying that pass rush. That's the best way that they're going to be able to move the ball downfield, and then having play action off of that. They have to throw the ball deep in this game. I cannot stress that enough. Because of how good they are against the run, you are going to have to throw the ball. And I know the Washington football team they don't like doing that. What has been their recipe for success this season? Rushing the ball for over 25 times, throwing for less than 200 yards. That's been their MO all season. But if they're going to want to win this playoff game, it's going to have to be reversed. They're going to have to throw the ball deep. They're going to have a lot of positive yardage out of that if they're going to want a chance. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I think that, like you just said, we're going to have to definitely take a couple of shots down the field to kind of stretch the defense out a little bit, keep people out the box. Obviously, they're number one run defense for a reason, but we're going to have to at least try to establish the run a little bit, convert on some third downs with the run, or maybe like second and shorts, first and shorts, stuff like that, third and shorts in the run game to kind of keep that prolific offense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers off the field. And I think that it's going to have to go back to that game plan of the Steelers game where defense is going to have to step up, do their thing, and they're going to have to be a lot of Logan Thomas and a lot of J.D. McKissick out the backfield in the short passing game, which is an extension of the run game, if you want to call it that. And I think also with this really aggressive pass rush, with these great front four, just like we have a great front four, I hope that they get the screen game going with the running backs where let those rushers come up the field at Alex Smith, have them dump it off, or to Logan Thomas as well, tight end screens. But definitely get the screen game going. Take some shots down the field to kind of balance the defense out, keep them off their toes, and a lot of Logan Thomas, a lot of J.D. McKissick. And if you want to throw Gibson out there too, a lot of Gibson out the backfield as well in the passing game.
Yeah, Gibson looked really, really good. I'm not gonna lie. I know he only
Yeah.
averaged
He has
3.9
the last 2
yards.
weeks since he came back.
I know he only
Right.
averaged 3.9 yards per carry, but his vision, being able to extend plays just by a little bit. There were a lot of times where you looked like he was dead in the backfield, but he was able to get some little extra yardage. That was huge in their play. Now, Washington Football wants to know, what's the possibility of Landon Collins moving to linebacker? He's been publicly adamant that he does not want to do that, probably because of the pay cut that comes with it and everything. But do you think that he would consider it for the betterment of the team? And Hall, I'll start with you.
I don't think they're actually going to like switch his position to actual linebacker. They're definitely going to keep him like back there in the secondary as a safety. I just think that he'll be more of the run blitz kind of guy. He'll be in the box a lot more than he has been, and I think that he'll be the kind of the first, second down, the run stopper, the sub package DB. He'll be back there with Cameron Curl, which would be cool. Reeves will be back there as well with him. So I don't think they're going to convert him all the way to a linebacker. I just think that he'll be like a run stop safety from here on out.
Yeah, look, I know that everyone is shooting it down, saying poo-poo, no, blah, blah, blah. And some people are even saying that they should move on from Landon Collins, possibly trade him and everything. But look, in my opinion, we've seen so many injuries happen to this safety position. I don't think the Washington Football Team is in a position to be able to kick guys away. I think you're going to need that help in the secondary. And honestly, I don't think that there should be an issue with playing Landon Collins as a dime linebacker. In those pass situations, when teams go 4 wide, 5 wide, and passing down situations, I would absolutely love to have Landon in the box playing a quarterback spy. That's the best place for him, in my personal opinion. Playing the running back out of the backfield, I think that is a really good recipe for success. I mean, look at Barron out in L.A. He was successful in that transition. I know that there's a lot of pride with Landon, and he probably doesn't want to do that. But the fact is, it's probably going to happen. I would rather him make that move than to move on with Landon. And I really hope that he does make that decision, because I just don't think that he's going to say no to that. Especially if Ron Rivera is the one asking him. I don't know how you could say no. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys on that. I don't think that he'll necessarily change positions. Like Hall said, I think that he'll definitely be playing kind of a linebacker role, but he'll still be probably listed as a safety. But they're definitely going to want to get him and Cameron Curl on the field at the same time. And look, let's be real. If Ron Rivera was the coach the offseason that we signed Landon Collins, we wouldn't have signed Landon Collins to that big deal. Ron Rivera never spent money on safeties when he was in Carolina. That
he
was
doesn't really spend money on free agency,
money on the front
really.
seven. Right. Well, what he would do is he would invest draft picks and sign people for the front seven, and he would play that, and then he would just put people back there in the secondary, nice, solid players, but he never really invested much. Like even Eric Reed, he didn't sign a big contract because Ron Rivera is the first person to give him the chance. So Landon Collins wouldn't be here. I think Landon Collins will do what Ron Rivera asks him to, because he's a football player and he seems like a team guy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think that would be a very big help. You kind of killed 2 birds with one stone if you can move Landon Collins to play more of that linebacker role, because then you can still put Cameron Curl back there and you can have 2 fantastic playmakers on the field at the same time.
Yeah. And that was a great question. Thank you very much, Washington Football. Hall, really liked your mixtape that you put out. It was some fire.
That joint was hot fire.
Fire.
Good shit, man. Y'all go check it out too. That joint is pretty good.
Yeah, and our buddy Andy over in the UK.
Oi.
He wants to know, with it being a short week of practice, will Smith be a game time decision like he was last week? And second question, how do they plan for a quarterback who can't escape the pocket? I know we kind of already went over that essentially with the other question. But let me go to you, Hall. Do you think that Smith is going to be a game-time decision this week like he was last week? Do you think that he proved enough to show that he should start right away?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's up to how his calf is feeling throughout the week and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, he didn't really show anything. Obviously, he showed lingering signs of it still kind of nagging him, though. But I think another week of rest. He's not going to do much in practice. He already knows the offense front and back, just taking those mental reps. So I think that he won't be a game time decision. I think he's going to be 100% fully go. And again, if he looks bad or is having trouble again, they'll swap him out for Heineken. Or Heineken for Heineke.
No, you said it right.
We get it,
man.
Hall. You're an alcoholic.
You said it right, man. It's Heineken all day long. Yeah, but
we like to have fun here. We joke.
Yeah, Hall said it perfectly. It all depends on the health of the calf. If he's able to plan on it, and be able to throw and be accurate off of it, then yeah, he should play. But it's going to be a game time decision. It's all based on how Alex feels in that calf, and I really do trust that this coaching staff is going to be able to have a plan in place regardless. In my personal opinion, anything to add, Reed?
No, not really. I think we for sure won't find out until until Saturday. I think it's gonna take some time. You can smell me from here.
Nah, my dog farted and it smells horrible.
Ew, dog farts, bro. Dog farts are the worst.
Yeah,
they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad. Yeah, bottle that up. Sell that as a scent.
I'm so glad I'm not in that room right now.
Yeah. Ugh, hot dog farts.
It's pretty bad. I might have to get up and let him out.
It's probably what it smells like up in New York, sitting next to Joe Judge.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but Jesse has a question for us. What's our thought on the crazy amount of people that want to start Heineke over Alex Smith? Like, do you have any opinion on it? Like, in my personal opinion, I'm not going to hate the people for it because I understand why they're going for it, because they don't like. You don't see the in-game adjustments. You don't see calling out formations. You don't see Alex Smith telling guys in the huddle that, this is what, if you see this coverage, this is what I want you to do. Watch out for this. Ron Rivera has said that was a huge piece of Alex Smith adding to this young wide receiving core, that he would help them in the huddle and be able to have that veteran leadership, that veteran confidence. And for that reason, I really need to stay with Alex Smith. I know that everyone in the fan base, off of 9 minutes, thinks that Heineke is the new age Brett Favre. I get it. Maybe he is. I just don't think that it should be the automatic choice, especially for Alex Smith. He's battled back from so much. Why count him out? What about you, Reed?
Yeah, I kind of feel the same as you. I mean, like I said, we don't know what we don't know what kind of player he is yet. You don't know. And like, I get it. I mean, we didn't get a lot from Alex Smith on Sunday, but we got enough. And in this situation, especially, like I talked about, going up against the GOAT, going up against Tom Brady and it's very good defense. You want a veteran quarterback. You want somebody who knows football inside and out, who can make the smart checkdowns, who knows what they're doing, get people in the right formation. We don't know what Heineke can do with that yet. So I just think as of right now, you have to roll with Alex Smith if he's healthy.
Yeah. And look, I'm
not going to judge you, but you're wrong and I hate you.
Like, the eye test will tell you, yes, you need to go to Heineke and everything. But when you really get down to it, and with the play calls and everything, like, it's Alex. What about you, Hall? Do you agree with some of those people that Heineke should be getting it?
I'm not gonna say I agree with them, but I see where they're coming from. Like you said before, where it's kind of like you see the flashes on the field for those 8 to 9 minutes. You're like, wow, he put up that many points in 8 to 9 minutes. Like, imagine what 4 quarters will be like. And it's like, no, because you're not going to see that same defense for those 8 or 9 minutes. They're going to see different kinds of stunts from the linemen. You're going to see different blitzes from linebackers, safeties, corners, all that good stuff. But yeah, I don't really blame them. But again, like you said, Kyle, this goes back to a couple of weeks I was listening to the Junkies, and they had Bruce Gradkowski on there. And he said that the big difference from Dwayne and Alex Smith being in the offense was Alex Smith will tell guys, hey, if the linebacker jumps this route, look for the hot. If the cornerback's playing this close, look for this back shoulder fade. Like, I need you to run this 7 route at this many yards. So it's a little nuances of the offense that he can tell the younger guys, like, hey, this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. So, again, Alex Smith is proven over these past 2.5 years as being our starter off and on that he's the best option. He can get the job done. He's not going to give you much. He's not going to give you a lot, but he's going to give you enough.
Right.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to discuss was, Chase Young, when he's running off the field, he says, I want Tom. I want Brady. And, Bruce Arians acknowledges it and says that's bulletin board material. Coach Rivera says, regardless, it's bulletin board material. He loves it. It shows the youthful exuberance. It was what he used. So, Reed, do you really believe that it was all that much of a bulletin board material? And do you think that's going to be enough motivation to kind of light a fire under the Bucs?
Dude, the last thing you want to do is give Tom Brady any reason whatsoever to have it out for you and to have a grudge. We've seen that time and time again. But I mean, you got to love that from Chase Young. During the combine, they asked him what quarterback he wanted to sack. He said Tom Brady.
Yes, thank you.
So he's wanted to sack him. That's who he wants to play. And Chase Young, he's a fantastic football player. He's one of the best young players in the NFL. He's the surefire defensive rookie of the year. Chase Young, you got to love, like Ron Rivera said, you got to love that from. That's why he's a team captain. He's somebody you didn't care who you are. He knows what he brings to the table. He wants to go out there. He wants to play against the best. He wants to be the best. That's why we took him at number 2. And that's why he's had so much success. So I mean, yes, it's bulletin board material, but good. Let's bring it. Let's let them fight it out. Okay. Let's let Tom Brady and Chase Young fight it out and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And then seeing those pictures of Chase Young after the game, still absorbing the atmosphere of the link after the game, just speaks to Chase Young and how much he does love the game of football. And even though in the combine or whatever pre-draft, he said he wanted to sack Tom Brady, before the season, the local media asked him the same question, and he said Lamar Jackson. Yeah. He was looking forward to it because he wants to sack the best. If you want to be the best, you got to sack the best. And so I know that everyone is saying it's bulletin board material, but I feel like that's very low stuff. It's not like he was saying, I can't wait to beat Tom Brady. I can't wait to beat the brakes off Tom Brady. I can't wait to put him in the dirt. He's not saying that. He just said he wants to sack him like a notch on the old belt, but a sack belt. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I really did not have that much of an issue with it. I feel like it's being blown out of proportion. It's smart on Bruce Arians' part because, he knows that the Washington football team is coming in with some sort of momentum and some fire under them because they got a chip on their shoulder. So for Bruce Arians, he's kind of using this to try to motivate his guys in a way. I just feel like it's unsubstantiated. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, you pretty much just took what I was going to say, where I think that the media and Bruce Arians is kind of hyping it up more than it should be. And then, like you said, we're coming in with that chip on our shoulder, like really huge underdog. And literally nobody's going to give us a shot to win, just like they haven't throughout the whole season pretty much. And so he's got to try to boost the morale, boost up the motivation for these guys to be like, no, you got to match that level of energy. You got to match that chip that they got on their shoulder with an even bigger chip. And like you said before, coming into the pre-draft, he said, who do you want to sack the most? He said Tom Brady. So was that bulletin board back whenever he was getting pre-drafted?
Right.
So it's like, no, he's just being a young rookie captain of the team, a leader of the team, saying, look, like you said, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Well, Tom Brady's the best. He's the GOAT. And I want to be the best one day, so I got to sack the GOAT. Like you said, a notch on my belt to be like, look, I sacked the GOAT. I came up watching this guy as a little kid. I went and sacked him in an NFL game. That's my dream. So I accomplished one of my dreams.
I will say, if anybody in the NFL, though, does turn a mountain out of a molehill, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady will literally use anything for motivation. So
he's going to be
taking
John.
It personal, but the rest of the team, I don't think they really.
I guarantee he'll be John back and forth with Chase, pre-snap, after the snap, during the snap, all that stuff. So
and then after the game, it'll be respect.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The same thing. Chase essentially did the same thing with Big Ben before the game. And Coach Rivera actually talked about in his presser that he was like, let me go talk to, and Coach was like, no, wait. And he was like, nope, I'm going. And he ended up doing it. It's just showing a respect that they want to do. It's not. I don't think it's as much as everyone's making it out to be.
It's being a competitor. It's being competitive.
Before we get out of here, my goodness, the national media having to listen to Chris Collinsworth, Al Michaels.
God.
I mean, dude, seriously, NBC thought it was a good idea to post the tweets of what Giants players were thinking while the game was still going on. Like, do you guys not realize that there is an app for that? If people really wanted to see that, wouldn't they go to the Twitter to see what Giants players are thinking?
Twitter, right?
Yeah. What are you doing? The disrespect was disgusting. Al Michaels just continued to talk about the Giants. What is going on? Why the disrespect, Reed?
I guess, I don't know. Chris Collinsworth was obsessed with the Giants. That's all him and Al Michaels talked about. And then it was so bad that it was to the point that Chris Collinsworth was getting names wrong. He was calling Montez Sweat Josh Sweat the entire time, and it was just like, stop.
They said Redskins multiple times.
Yeah, Al Michaels saying Redskins was one of the highlights of that game, to be completely honest with you. But I don't. It's because they're in New York and they know that they're a popular team and it's a storyline. And maybe the game was boring. I don't know, but I mean,
wasn't boring at all. That was a great game.
There's fans over here that actually care and that are very excited. You don't talk about us at all and seeing how pumped we are. All you do is just talk about the Giants and the Giants players saying, oh man, the Eagles are ridiculous for tanking this game. Oh, like who cares? Win more than 6 games, like we said, and then maybe you can have the right to bitch about it.
The best was when Nate Sudfeld escapes to his left and he throws like a dud of a pass, and you hear Al Michaels go, "What was that?"
Poor Nate Sudfeld. He deserves a game beer from us too.
He does.
Seriously.
He's getting bashed for like no reason.
Yeah.
It's like all I did was come in and take some snaps.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Well, what a heads-up play by Montez Sweat on that one fumble by Nate Sudfeld that he just botched completely, just let it go out of his hands. And for Montez Sweat to dive, have the wherewithal to dive and knock that play away so Chase Young could scoop it and run it back, that was just a phenomenal football play. I thought you're right. In our group chat, you said, I thought he was going to have a Sean Taylor moment.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a game-clinching fumble return for a touchdown against Philly in the all-whites. I was like, oh, my God, it's history. It's history repeating itself. And then he got tackled.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we gave the ball right back. What was that, the Alex Smith interception with the tip ball?
I think so. Yeah, we ended up giving it right back.
Yeah, but seriously, but then I saw Schefter after the game putting up that the Eagles gave it away. Like, that kind of disrespect is like, I didn't think that I would see that. You know, I didn't think that it would be so blatant to the point where you're saying that they don't deserve it. You know, the whole talk all season has been how bad the NFC East is and how bad these teams are. They don't deserve to have a playoff spot. And for them to continue that sentiment, even after literally doing well in that game, but they're heading into the playoffs. Like, why the constant kicking of the dirt? You know, will we ever get some respect, Hall?
Probably not until we become we're going to start getting respect now because we have Ron Rivera as our coach, and he's going to demand that respect. The team on the field is going to demand that respect, especially on the defense. Offense is going to come around once we get a more aggressive quarterback. I'll just say it that because I don't want to trash Alex Smith. He's done great this season with what he's been working with, but with everyone like calling like, oh, the NFC East has been trash and the disrespect. I mean, look. Obviously, the team's been mediocre to below average for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So I get the disrespect because we've been like almost a laughingstock at points. It was like all the off-field stuff.
I don't hear
all
that about the
bickering
Browns.
In-house. Exactly. It's like so. It's kind of like it's a new era. It's a new breath of fresh air in the organization. Forget about the past. It's a new age, and for people to be like, "Oh, the NFC East sucks" and all this other stuff. We're 5-2 down the stretch. So if we started off the season 5-2, they'd be singing this team's praises and how good they are and they're NFC East contender and like a playoff team, blah, blah, blah. And I thought that football is about, NFL is about not how you start, but how you finish. So if we started off 2-7, but finished 5-2, aren't we finishing strong, going to the playoffs, playing your best football? That's what you want to do with momentum. So I'm just tired of disrespect. Hopefully we come out and shock the world on Saturday night. We get even more respect from the national media because I do think that a lot of the national media is kind of not really turning a blind eye to the Washington football team anymore because of Ron Rivera, because of Jason Wright, because of Julie Donaldson, because Chase Young, because Alex Smith coming back in that story. So hopefully we get a little bit more spotlight on us and not like the shade thrown at us. I guess you can want to say that.
Yeah, and I think them being in New York is honestly, I think you said it right, Reed.
Yeah, and exactly.
It was blatantly obvious how biased they were. It was almost like the Giants were in the stadium, were in the stands watching the game, and it was crazy to me. It was almost like they were in the game, and like that's how they were talking about. Like they're not even in this game. Why are you even bringing them up? I understand talking about it once or twice, but seriously, in that whole 3.5 hours of game time. How many times did you hear them talk about Alex Smith's journey and Ron Rivera's journey and all the turmoil that they came over and came through? Do you know if the Giants were in that game, don't you think that they'd be talking about how much Joe Judge has done to change that team and get them into the playoffs?
Right.
It was
of course.
absolutely
And Daniel
disgusting.
Jones doing it without Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Yeah, he's doing it on one leg with a hurt hamstring, and oh my God. And
You know who's really doing it on one leg? Take a guess.
exactly.
Alex
He
Smith.
literally has like a peg leg. Almost.
Yeah, brutal stuff. I just can't stand that. I don't think they will ever get respect, honestly. And at this point, I don't care because that was brutal.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm really glad that they have Tony Dungy and Mike Tirico calling the game for him on
Thank
Saturday.
God.
That is
Yeah.
the perfect duo right there.
Because we're gonna get some respect. Yeah.
Yeah, Tony Dungy loves Ron Rivera. He absolutely loves him, and I love
Yep.
Mike Tirico. I think Mike Tirico is honestly the
Yeah.
best play-by-play
Very
guy.
underrated. Yeah.
Hey, what John Gruden forced him out. Tirico could not stand John Gordon.
Mike Tirico was a creeper back in the day, bro.
Was he?
Yeah, you got to
What
read
did
the
he do?
ESPN book that came. Yeah, I read it when I was on my 75-day vacation in Clarksburg. But no, yeah, I read that ESPN book, and it was like talks about like all the stuff that used to go on back in the day, like in studio, all like the dirt and stuff like that. Tirico was crazy. He was a creeper, bro. He changed his life around. He's a good dude now. But man,
I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, I
He
did
was,
not even know that. Honestly, I didn't
Yeah.
think there was any negative publicity on Tirico.
Trust me.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
It made me look at a lot of people at ESPN like kind of sideways, like. Bro,
But like, give us an example. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Well, the one that comes to my mind that don't quote me on this because like it's kind of fuzzy because this is like
Right.
10 plus years ago when I read this book, but it's kind of one of them things you kind of just like it sticks in your mind. I was reading it and they were talking about how Tirico was harassing one of the might have been like the interns or the producers, like one of the camera ladies. I don't even remember who it was, but he was like constantly texting her, just sexual stuff, just crazy, crazy sexual harassment stuff. So one day, I think he like waited for her to like get out of work and like go to her car, and he's like speeding down like some Connecticut like highway bridge or something like that, like trying to like chase her down, like talk to her and something. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my God. I'm not even going to say, never mind. I won't say it.
Did you hear about the Von Miller stuff?
What happened with that?
Like Matt tagged me in it on Twitter earlier, but apparently like Von Miller's like, I think it's his ex-girlfriend apparently is pregnant, and he was having private conversations with her, and he said something like he's praying that she has a miscarriage and all this other stuff. Yeah. And that
Because he doesn't have money to raise the kid.
Who, Von Miller?
I'm joking.
I was about to say. No, but and then apparently she uploaded his private messages. So I feel bad about that because nobody's had their private messages put out there. You know, it's a private message, but at the same time,
don't wish death on a kid, on an innocent baby. You know,
dude, I really like Von Miller too, bro. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come
on. All right,
you can
everybody.
think it, just don't say it.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it and being able to celebrate the 20-14 win, getting the Washington football team to the playoffs for the first time since 2015. And Coach said it best. You know, there has been multiple teams that have been wild card and gone on to win it and play in the Super Bowl and possibly win it. You know, you look at the Giants when they won it against the Pats, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers were a wild card team as well. It can always happen. And the one other thing, remember the Seattle Seahawks, 2009. They went 7-9. Everyone talked about how bad the division was. That was the start of something big, was it not, for Seattle? So look, if that's the way things start, I'm all about it, baby. I'm not going to be apologizing for winning. I absolutely love that game. I'm glad they're in the playoffs. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the cutest Burgundy Zone boy, and why is it Hall?
That's phenomenal. All right, everybody, check us out on Thursday. We have a former player going to be joining us on the pod to be able to talk about the playoff matchup. It's going to be a doozy. You are not going to want to miss it. All right, everybody, Washington football. Hey! Washington football. Woo!